So welcome back everybody, and I am delighted that we're going to look in detail at selection, probably a little bit more than selection actually, because as you'll find out in a moment, I'm delighted to be with Helen Sanderson, Chief Executive of Wellbeing Teams. Hi Helen.
Hi.
And this session is really going to try and share for our audience some of the really exciting work that you're doing, and in fact it's award-winning, isn't it? So you're very recently 2018 recruitment award winners. So perhaps first of all, let's if you will start with Wellbeing Teams themselves. Could you tell us a little bit about that, about them, and then we can dive into some recruitment?
Absolutely. So Wellbeing Teams are small neighbourhood teams, so they support a specific geographical area, and they're self-managing teams as well. And at the moment we're supporting people who live at home, who may be older and need a bit of support, but the future is Wellbeing Teams supporting anybody in a particular neighbourhood. So really excited about a different way of supporting people to live well at home and be part of their community.
Fab. And I think part of all of this is the unique way that you need to recruit. Really, you need to find people, people with exactly the right values. So can you tell us a little bit about how you've gone about that process? Well,
completely inspired by what I've learnt from you. The first thing is being clear about who you're looking for. And what often happens in care is that people rotate around different care organisations. So the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, so you try another organisation and another. But we wanted to intentionally recruit outside of care because fundamentally we believe that if you've got people with the right values and a can-do attitude, we can teach them the skills that they need. So we've been thinking about this really quite differently and been trying to find people who, well, we've got people who work in retail, in beauty, in customer service, and bringing them into care, and also bringing younger people into care. So part of the way that we've done this is rethinking how we describe the role and how we describe who we're looking for. So instead of a traditional job description and person specification, we have a variant of a one-page profile that says this is what people are likely to like and admire about you, this is what is likely to matter to you, the stuff that really makes your heart beat, that you're passionate about, and this is how we'll support you in the role. So most job adverts are saying what you need to be like, and we're trying to say here are the characteristics of what we're looking for, and we also want to be really upfront with you about how we're going to support you. And we've got clear values. We've got 6 values that operate in Wellbeing Teams, and we went through how we describe the organisation, how we describe the role, and the could this be you, to make sure that our values sang out of that, and used a values professional called Jackie Lefevre to help us do that. So the first thing is how we described as an organisation, what we say to people about what we're looking for and who we're looking for, and then having a combination of the more traditional electronic boards as well as using social media. And
what did you notice a difference? Perhaps you didn't because you haven't probably been a traditional provider, but the sorts of applicants, were you pleased initially, or did you really not know what you were going to find?
Well, you'd warned us that if we put things on electronic job boards, we'd be absolutely inundated. And of course, people are desperate for jobs, and I completely understand that. So it's almost as if people see a job title and just automatically send a CV, perhaps without looking in detail. So we were very deliberate about having long descriptions about the role. So if you're not really interested in reading it, you'd give up halfway through. And then at the very end, we had 3 questions that says, please don't send us a CV, because we want to know about who you are first of all. So please answer these 3 questions and email us. So one question is, self-managing teams aren't for everybody. We're curious about why they might be for you. And the second question was, in self-managing teams, we pay attention to people having great days. What does a great day look like for you? And then the third question is, how many miles do you live from the centre of? And that will be the town that we're recruiting to. So therefore, we get lots of people sending back CVs and covering letters, but clearly haven't got to the end because they haven't answered those questions. So then it'd be only people who answer those questions will be put forward to the next stage of our recruitment process.
Ah, perfect. And so what would that next stage be?
Well, we say, thank you. So you get an automatic response that comes from me that says, thank you so much for your interest in the role. We want to learn about you as a person rather than read about you on paper next. So please, can you book a slot to talk to one of our team for 20 minutes? And we have a Calendly link there, so you can go on and book your slot with somebody. And we usually have 4 or 5 people who've put slots in from morning, noon and the evening and at weekends as well. And some of those people will be existing team members, because team members recruit their own team members as well. They have a script, but the purpose, they have a script so that they can ad-lib from it. But the purpose of that conversation is for us to make sure you really understand what the role is like, and for us to find out more about the person. So very informal, doesn't feel like a selection interview, feels like a chat. And at the end of that, people that we think will be a good fit for us, we invite them to a 3-hour recruitment workshop, and that's when we send the pack out.
Perfect. So, okay, if I then was successful at that stage, what am I told about what to expect for this session?
Absolutely. So at the end of that conversation, you're told that the next steps are, we'll send you the pack, we'll invite you, and there and then you're told the date of the recruitment workshop and the times. But the other thing that you won't be expecting is you get a personal text from me. Really me. So at the moment it's me, and it will be the wellbeing leader in the future. So the team who are doing the recruitment, my colleagues, send me a text with the name of the person that they've put through, and then get a personal text from me that says, you've made a really good first impression on, and that'll be the name of the person, and we're really looking forward to meeting you at the recruitment workshop. And I think that makes, we want the whole thing to feel personal. So the fact that you then get a text and I introduce myself as the founder of Wellbeing Teams, I hope that matters to people, that we start that kind of contact and relationship then. And then the pack has the recruitment team's one-page profile. So that might be my one-page profile. We have a co-production partner, somebody who uses services, and it'll be their one-page profile, and 2 one-page profiles of the other team members who will be in the recruitment team. So suddenly you're learning what people appreciate about other people, what matters to me as an individual, and how to support me. So we want to show up as humans, as people, through the recruitment pack. You're asked to complete your own one-page profile. We give you a blank version and some links and guidance about how to do that. And then, of course, there's a standard application information everybody has to do, but we still don't ask for a CV at that stage.
And when they arrive on the day, how's the day shaping up? I know you have some really interesting things that happen, so do tell us.
Well, the first thing is we think theatre. So we set up the room like it's almost a set. So we've got lovely bunting, we have vases, we have flowers, we have music on, we have tablecloths, we have a welcome desk as well. Because we want people to come in and feel like they matter, and this is special, and they're special, and that we've paid attention to this. So it doesn't feel anything like the usual setup. So you come into music as well. We ask people to create their own name badges. At the welcome desk, it will always be the co-production partner and myself or somebody else, because we want to model that working in partnership with people who use our service is central to who we are and how we work. So you do your badge, and you'd go and sit down, and you'd be welcomed and offered tea or coffee or biscuits. And then when everybody's there, I usually do the initial hello and welcome and introduce the team, but the team will share something that matters to them. So the first exercise is sharing on your tables 3 things that matter to you. So we start off with a really strong thing that says who you are, and what you bring is what we want to learn about right from the beginning. And then we have a range of different exercises. So we're old enough to remember when there was enough money in the system where people used to go on team building events. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. I'm old enough too.
It feels a bit like that. So you'll there'll be an exercise like building a tower with spaghetti, where we'll see how people work together in a small group. We get people doing massage together, because we figured out that the closest we could find out how people could be compassionate is through compassionate touch. So it's, do you keep eye contact when you're massaging somebody? You know, are you talking about X, Y, are using it as an opportunity to learn about somebody? So we give people a step-by-step guide and a towel and things. For most people, it's something they've never done before. So how you approach a task that you might feel a bit nervous about and have never done before that involves touch tells us a whole load about people. We have values cards, so things like when was the last time you failed at something and what was that like and what did you learn? Or asking people about how connected they are in their community, or what was the last risk that you took and what was that like? So those kinds of questions. And then later on we have scenario questions, which are the tough things that turn up in the work, so that they're under no illusion about the sort of things that can happen. You arrive at somebody's house, you're arrived at the right time, nobody answers the door, what do you do? So those kinds of questions. What's really funny, well it's not funny, but people think it's strange, is at the end we give people an opportunity to interview me and the other team members, so we completely turn the tables. And in small groups of 2 or 3 people, we say come up with 2 questions that you want to ask the team. Now, usually that's about the role, so it's not usually terms and conditions and things like that, because we've usually covered that, but it might be like, you know, what will the induction be like, and those kinds of questions. However, one group said, if you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be? Which was really funny. Clearly a ginger nut. But I think just the fact that we turn the tables and they get to ask us questions, I think is significant. Yeah. They have no idea when they come in what the day is going to be like, what the 3 hours are going to be like. And again, that's intentional. So how you deal with new situations, what it's like when you go into something and you don't know what's going to happen, how much do you interact, you know, with other people. So we learn a lot. The team all have cards with each person's name and the different activities and scoring, and we'll be going around and eavesdropping and scoring. Of course, that includes our co-production partner. And the other thing we do is how do you make your selection process as close to the real job as possible? So we do that with scenario cards and touch, because it's personal care. But we also have our initial conversation paperwork, and we get people in pairs to ask one of the recruitment team the kind of conversation and questions where we find out what matters to people. So if you're leaning forward and doing it like an interview like that, we know you haven't quite got this. But then perhaps the scariest thing that we do is then say, we now want you to give feedback to the person who's been asking those questions. So somebody else who's in the recruitment process that you're in a pair with, both asking questions, we want you to give them feedback about their performance. And we're so rubbish about that at work. But if you're going to work in a self-managed team, you've got to feel comfortable giving your colleagues feedback, and you've got to see feedback as a gift. So I really clearly say, saying there's nothing you can improve won't help you, because we believe we can always improve, we can always get better, and one of the gifts we can offer each other is giving each other specific feedback about what did I do well and how can I do things even better.
It's fabulous. And if I, let's say, wasn't successful, what would my experience be like then? I mean, how does this process end for a candidate, either a success or a rejection? So
we tell everybody that they'll get a phone call the next day. And we do that whether you've been successful or not. What they'll get that evening is a survey monkey asking them about their experience. So at that stage, they don't know whether they've been successful or not. And we have 4 questions that says, you know, the information the first conversation that you had with us. So it probably starts with the advert information, the first conversation that you had with us, the pack and the information you received then, and the recruitment workshop experience. How would you rate that out of 10? What worked and didn't work for you about it, and how would you advise that we improve it in the future? So one of the metrics as CEO that I look at a monthly basis is what's our score, because that gives us a percentage obviously out of 100, and I'm looking at that score on a regular basis. So we get evaluated on how we do in our recruitment experience, and that's the best feedback about how we can improve. So that's the very next thing that happens, and then they'll have a conversation with the individual where they'll either be told they're successful or they'll be given feedback. And because you've introduced us to people clues, which has been invaluable in our decision making process, so when you get the application pack, you're also asked to do the people clues assessment. And when we're making decisions, we look at what we noticed on the day, what People Clues told us as well, and we put all that together. But it means that we're able to offer people their People Clues reports if they're not successful, so that they've learnt about themselves and they know what they can do better next time. And of course they've also got their one-page profile that they can build on if they choose to as well.
Oh, really good. And it's been very successful, I think, so far.
Yes. It has. It has. We've been really, really pleased. Because in this climate, where recruitment is difficult for everybody, we are recruiting about 10 to 12 people each recruitment workshop. I hold my breath, Neil, I hold my breath, because we'll probably get... so the current recruitment that we're doing, we've done 75 slots of half-hour conversations. We ask people to confirm that they're attending the workshop 3 days before. So we pretty much know, and that's because one of our values is responsibility. So if you don't take responsibility for confirming that you're attending, you're going to find it hard to live our value. So 3 days before the recruitment, we pretty much know who's coming, and I hold my breath to find out who turns up on the day. Usually we might get about 30 people confirming that they're coming, and we'll probably see 20 or so on the day, and from that we'll probably recruit about 12 people. So we're tracking our stats of how many responses we get, how many of those turn into conversations, how many of those turn into confirmations, and how many of those turn up. And we've noticed an interesting trend: if people haven't done People Clues, they don't turn up. So we're paying attention to that as a metric as well.
Yeah, so giving them little hurdles is very interesting to see. That's a marker, isn't it?
Yes,
of
completely.
Commitment.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. We could talk for hours on this, and it's been such a pleasure to get an insight on what is, I think, a really innovative way of selecting. And I mean, all of what you do is, we could have done a whole module on it. But thank you so much, Helen, for all your time on this. And I think we're going to put the web address of people of Wellbeing teams on the screen, and if people are interested in finding out more, they can there. But thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.